How does job creation really happen? My name is Costa Michaelides, and I'm a candidate for United States Congress in 2018. So let's get into it. How does job creation really happen? It's a question that we don't really have a concrete answer to. The reason is because our economy is a large, complex system that changes incredibly fast, especially these days as technology disrupts industry after industry. And so we don't have a concrete system that has always worked for hundreds of years, right? It's something that's changing. So what I can contribute to this conversation is a little bit around what an innovation economy is, how scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs work to improve the products and services in our economy, and then what individuals and what governments can do in that environment to promote meaningful job creation, right? Not jobs for the sake of jobs, but jobs that add value to the individuals who do them and to the community that they work in. So let's get into it. What is an innovation economy, right? So in the 50s and 60s, the United States was a large, thriving manufacturing economy. People had factory jobs. Our factories produced most of the goods and services that were consumed in the United States and Europe. It was tremendous. And people had great jobs. As globalization took hold, there was a shift and jobs started to move overseas. Now that's really good for people overseas because they began to industrialize their economies. They started to compete in terms of producing products that we were producing. So there was a lot of advancement in countries around the world, and that's great. We should celebrate it. At the same time, though, jobs in the United States came into risk. There was a lot of job loss. Factory jobs were shipped overseas. People had to do something. And so what they did is they shifted into service-based jobs, jobs that you couldn't really ship out of the country, right? Something that, like your waiter or your waitress or your doctor or your lawyer can't be sourced from another country, right? They're right there with you, right? It's a service-based job. So we shifted into a service-based economy. And then over the sort of decades, we're going through another shift that's far more recent, and it's really powerful and it's really interesting. I'll give you an example. A company like Google went from not existing to being worth hundreds of billions of dollars in under 20 years. Facebook did the same thing. Uber and Airbnb, which are the newer sort of tier of technology companies, did it in less than 2 or 3 years, I believe. So they're starting to move even faster than the early tech companies. Now, those organizations are doing innovation. They are inventing new products and services. And they're doing so at an insane pace, which is really amazing. It's also changing the way our economy functions. So let's talk about innovation. How does innovation happen? At the societal level, what's going on under the economy, under the money and the financial stuff, what's going on in what's called the real economy is that scientists are doing the work that they do, which yields new knowledge. Scientists discover new knowledge. They discover new things. And then engineers take those new things that scientists discover and they build new technologies, right? And then entrepreneurs take new technologies and they make products and services, or they improve products and services that already exist in the marketplace. This is the innovation process. Now, it's important to note, you don't have to have the title of a scientist to think scientifically, right? A teacher in a classroom could think of a new way to discipline her kids or teach them math and test out a few different ways and see which one works the best, and then go to other teachers in the department and say, hey, I've been trying this, and it's really incredible how well it works, right? That's discovery. That's a teacher creating new knowledge right there in the classroom, sharing it with other teachers, and it's improving the system, right? In this case, the education service. So you don't need the title of scientist, engineer, or entrepreneur to think that way, to make those kinds of improvements, but this is generally the process that yields innovation in our system, right? And by innovation here, we mean new products and services that solve problems for people in the economy. Okay, so that's the innovation process. Now, what can governments and individuals do, knowing this? So for individuals, if you live in an innovation economy, which more and more so in the United States you do, you want to look at your workforce fitness. You want to know that you have the capabilities to get the new jobs that are coming up. So when we build driverless cars and they start to go mainstream and people who drive taxis and buses start to lose their jobs to computers, that you have some programming skills or have some engineering skills and you can go work on software instead. Programming I taught myself how to code after college. It's far more accessible than people think. So for those interested in coding, you should definitely check that out. And there's lots of other things. There are plenty of things you can learn that make you incredibly valuable in an innovation economy. So you should look at your workforce fitness. How many different jobs can you do and how well can you do them, right? So that's for individuals. What can governments do? Right. So for governments looking to thrive in an innovation economy, and here in the United States especially, we need to make sure that our science funding stays well ahead, our scientific discovery, rather, stays way ahead of where our engineers and entrepreneurs are at. Right? There's a big gap between when a scientific discovery happens and when we can use it to do something technologically or entrepreneurially. So we do have really good science funding, and it mostly comes from the government, right? NASA, the National Institutes of Health, the National Science Foundation. These are the science funding agencies, and one of the really important bits is that they fund basic science research. That needs to continue. We're already doing really well, but those are not the kind of budgets we want to go cutting. Right? So that'll help us stay very far ahead in terms of an innovation economy. The other thing to do is to be pro-entrepreneurship, not pro-business. So it's okay to be pro-business, but it's way better in an innovation economy to be pro-entrepreneur. Because some of the companies we're building now are growing into the hundreds of billions in very short amount of time. And they're creating hundreds of meaningful, long-lasting, high-paying jobs right off the bat. And that's pretty amazing. So we want to be pro-entrepreneurship, not necessarily pro-business. Okay, those are the recommendations. Once again, my name's Costa Michaelides. I am running for the United States House of Representatives in New York District 3. And let me actually throw up a map for you so you know where that district is. So that's District 3. It starts in Whitestone in Queens, stretches across the north half of Nassau County and all the way into Suffolk. So that's our district. If you want to learn more about the campaign, it's costa2018.com. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks for tuning in, and subscribe if you're interested in continuing following our work here. Take care.